Or how about we recommend that those judges are deployed to support the other courts, so that the value in them can be utilized. The country can benefit better.
The industrial court judges are recruited specifically, because even in industrial court, we need these judges, Honorable Faith. We need them. But what we need to do as Parliament, as government, is to ensure that we give the ministry money for administrative costs, operational costs. That is something very small that should be done. Yes, Olympian.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the chair, and also, second, I would like to thank the government. Right,
I'm
Honorable
going
Speaker.
to give 20 minutes per report.
Yeah.
This one we have spent almost 2 hours.
Right, Honorable Speaker and the members, I think there are things that we have to appreciate this government. This government came from a long way. When you look at, there's so many programs that we have to run. You look at now, we are talking about the SAGE, and then we have a program for youth, we have a program for government. I would emphasize that we should look at the number of the age that people should achieve this goal. If we talk about the age, we have been collecting so many data where you can find 80 years old, 70 years old. I would request if we would come really together at the age of 60 to make sure all these people are paid. And the issue of paying them to their nearest village is kind of difficult, because you look at in the northern Uganda now, we are talking about restocking. In the eastern, we are talking about restocking. So things are if we complicate a lot of things in our country, we are really not very successful right now. We are having challenges in finance since the funds were cut from the Western world in this epidemic, and also when you look at the issue of gay. So our country, we are really struggling. So I would really ask Right Honorable Speaker that we should focus at the age of 65. If all these people the data should be collected and they really get what we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I request that you discuss in the next report? Honourable members, pursuant to Rule 156(2), the report is forwarded to the Committee of Budget for harmonization, consolidation, and reconciliation. Thank you so much. But Honourable Minister, you need to take note of the issues that are being raised, such that when you go to Cabinet, you must be able to discuss these issues. There is a pardon? Yes.
Right Honourable Speaker, I just would wish to clarify on one. For the last 2 years under PDM, government has been paying an additional 100,000 shillings to all the parish chiefs in Uganda. And this is meant to enhance whatever they have been receiving, to enable them to move and to enable them to connect, specifically under PDM. So no parish chief in Uganda is supposed to charge any beneficiary of PDM. That is the information I would want to give. Because for the last 2 years, there is an additional 100,000 shillings given to all parish chiefs to enable them move and connect with specific reference to PDM.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, we agree with the principle, but we must know the reality as well. That's what the Speaker was telling us. We all have to fight the vice. Otherwise, the fact is there, but how do you fight as a government that vice that is causing people to be charged some 500, as the Speaker stated? So let us all come around, fight that vice that is causing those who are applying for this money to be cheated by paying. Otherwise, the challenge is there.
Honorable
Most
members,
obliged.
we have a challenge in PDM. But as leaders, we should be able to make sure that we correct that. Next.
The Sectoral Committee on Physical Infrastructure.
We'll look at the challenges, recommendations, and appropriation.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to present the report of the Committee of Physical Infrastructure on the budget estimates and ministerial policy statement for the Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services Program for the financial year 2026-27. Right Honorable Speaker, before
Yes, procedure.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I endured looking at that screen previously, yet I have an iPad here for the reports. Whoever is in charge of uploading those reports, Madam Speaker, could help us and do it swiftly
Clerk, have you heard?
so that we can follow on our iPads. So,
I am told it is uploaded. Is you have it, Basil? Honorable Shabi, can you go and seek for assistance from Mighty? You know, these things are not easy to use.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, you will need to guide. When I left the FDC, by the way, you were also in FDC, and joined PFF, I came here and I was advised that those changes will begin with the next parliament. I see the Honorable Nsibambi, who is here by the way still as FDC, putting on a yellow tie, but he has also even left and joined the NRM. Yet your guidance was that the changes are only for purposes of election, so remain your party until. So that's the procedure issue I am raising for you, Madam Speaker, to guide. When Honorable Nsibambi, the right time we will go to sit on the other side.
Honorable Kira Semujo, Honorable Semujo, Honorable Sibambi, officially crossed to NRM. I know you'd have also loved to be on this side, but there's still room. We still have a lot of room. And you see the space is too much. If you're ready, Government Chief Whip, you just avail him with space. But otherwise, legally, it has no problem. Legally, it has no problem. You can cross within the 1 year. We only left with 1 month. We are left with 1 month to go.
Madam Speaker, I am fearing that this parliament will have 2 rulings on the same matter. Because I came here and said I have left FDC, I am now PFF. The Attorney General and the Chair said it is only for purposes of election. You therefore cannot change affiliation until the term has ended. But Madam Speaker, since it is your guidance, I will take it. Thank you very much.
And there is no problem for Honorable Isvambi putting on yellow. Yellow is a color. The color of the Ugandan flag, that is number 1. Number 2, I have always said free sitting. It is you. It is you who has failed to come and sit on this side. And yet when you sit on this side, you see better. Or you can be seen better. So those are smaller things. And you see, it's even more healthy now. Congratulations, Honorable Sivambi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to present the report of the Committee on Physical Infrastructure on the budget estimates and ministerial policy statement for the Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services Program for the financial year 2026-27. Right Honorable Speaker, before I present, allow me lay on table a copy of the report and the minutes that process the report. Right Honorable Speaker, because of time constraint, allow me also give an executive summary of the report. The Sectoral Committee on Physical Infrastructure examined the budget estimates and ministerial policy statement for the Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services, that is ITIS program, under the financial year 2026-27 in accordance with Articles 90 and 155(4) of the Constitution of the Republic. Right Honorable Speaker, the ITIS program aims at developing a seamless, safe, inclusive and sustainable multimodal transport system to support Uganda's socio-economic transformation. Allow me to draw the attention of members to the key vote allocations. Vote 016, Ministry of Works and Transport. The total allocation to the Ministry of Works and Transport for financial year 2026-27 amounts to approximately Uganda shillings 8.07 trillion, reflecting a 41.8% increase from the previous financial year. The development portfolio comprises 67 projects with a combined budget of Uganda shillings 7.08 billion, up from 4.9 trillion in the financial year 2025-26. The allocation across subsectors includes 1. Road subsector, that is 2.7 trillion for upgrading, rehabilitation and maintenance of national roads. The railway subsector, 3.2 trillion, largely for capital intensive investments such as the standard gauge railway and rehabilitation of the meter gauge lines. 3. The bridges subsector, Uganda shillings 125.3 billion for construction and upgrading of bridges. Number 4, Right Honorable Speaker, the aviation subsector, which is 141.7 billion for airport development and aviation infrastructure. We have the maritime and inland water transport, 7.0 billion for maritime infrastructure and safety improvements. The ferry services, Right Honorable Speaker, 23.2 billion for expansion and maintenance of ferry services across water bodies. Right Honorable Speaker, the program prioritizes continued rehabilitation of damaged roads, strengthening railway infrastructure, expansion of air transport services, including developments at Entebbe and Kabalega International Airports, and improvement of inland water transport systems. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee observations and recommendations. 1. Outstanding arrears to contractors. Accumulation of arrears has remained a structural challenge within Uganda's road sector. The absorption of former UNRA and URF into Ministry of Works has further consolidated the arrears liability across previously separate institutional structures, creating a single and growing pool of outstanding debt. The committee was informed that the Ministry of Works closed financial year 2024-25 with total arrears of 1.1 4 trillion, comprising Uganda shillings 649 billion from the Ministry of Works, 840 billion inherited from former UNRWA, and 0.5 billion from the former Uganda Road Fund. Although Uganda shillings 541 billion has been paid so far in the financial year 2025-26 through supplementary expenditure, the outstanding balance as at the time of the ministerial policy statement submission stands at approximately 948 billion. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee notes with concern that out of an approved arrears budget of 218.4 billion for financial year 25-26, no resources were released by half year. This complete non-release directly caused the suspension of works on a number of national road projects and triggered additional interest charges. The committee further notes that instead of restoring the arrears allocation, the proposed financial year 26-27 budget slashes it from Uganda shillings 218.4 billion to only Uganda shillings 39.6 billion, a reduction of 81.9%, despite this outstanding stock having grown. This is compounded by the absence of any fixed medium-term clearance schedule. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends and urges government to restore the financial year 2026-27 arrears allocation to a minimum of Uganda shillings 300 billion and commit to a legally binding 3-year clearance schedule published to Parliament by end of Q1 financial year 26-27. Ensure that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development releases both the arrears budget of 218 billion for financial year 25-26 and the remaining balance of the approved supplementary budget of 1.69 trillion. And 3, choose approving arrears budget lines that are never released, as this creates a false impression of fiscal responsibility while contractors remain unpaid, works remain suspended, and interest accrues. Right Honorable Speaker, the persistent delays in land acquisition and project affected person compensation. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee was informed that as at the time of the MPS submission, a total of 7,767 PAPs, that's 41%, remain unpaid under the government-funded projects Bukasa Port, the Standard Gauge Railway, Tororo Gulu Meter Gauge Railway, and Gulu Logistics Hub, representing outstanding compensation of Uganda shillings 533.2 billion. Under donor-funded projects, Right Honorable Speaker, 6,597 PAPs, that's 18%, remain unpaid, Uganda shillings 320.1 billion. Land acquisition across 32 ongoing civil works contracts has progressed to only 209 of a required 711.5 hectares, a coverage rate of 29.4%. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee notes a significant positive development where the land acquisition project 2, project 1771, has received a significant budget increase from Uganda shillings 113.1 billion to Uganda shillings 689.5 billion. This signals a belated recognition that land acquisition has been the principal bottleneck to infrastructure delivery. However, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee cautions that a budget appropriation alone is insufficient. The history of approved but unspent counterpart allocations shows that appropriation does not guarantee release or utilization. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends and urges government to 1. Publish a project-by-project PAP clearance schedule with quarterly targets. Ring-fence the Uganda shilling 689.5 billion land acquisition 2 budget for immediate release in Q1 financial year 2026-27 and establish independent verification of disbursements to actual PAPs. 2. Treat counterpart funding for land acquisition as a statutory first call on program resources, in line with the second BCC directive, ensuring it is released before any other discretionary expenditure in the first quarter. Right Honorable Speaker, the low releases and absorption of external financing. In respect to this, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee notes with grave concern that while 1,400 billion, that is 1.4 trillion, representing 34.4% of the external budget, was released to the vote, only 193.3 billion was actually spent, meaning 86.2% of released external funds remained unabsorbed as at half year. Expressed against the original approval budget, only 4.7% of 4.0 trillion external budget was spent by mid-year. This is not a funding shortage. It is a structural implementation failure rooted in the absence of counterpart resources for land acquisition and PAP compensation, making the large external budget envelope essentially inaccessible despite its formal approval. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee further notes that with the financial year 2026-27 external financing budget rising to Uganda shillings 4.3 trillion, a continuation of 13.8% absorption rate would imply only approximately 606 billion in actual expenditure, leaving Uganda shillings 3.7 trillion unspent and generating additional commitment charges. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends 1. Mandatory project readiness certification. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in coordination with the Ministry of Works and the National Planning Authority, should institute a mandatory project readiness certification process for all externally financed projects before inclusion in the annual budget. No externally financed project should receive budget allocation unless it has A, a completed feasibility study, B, approved detailed engineering designs, C, completed environmental social impact assessment, D, confirmed land right-of-way availability of at least 80%, and E, a signed and effective loan grant agreement. Projects that do not meet these criteria should be removed from the budget estimates and placed in a pipeline category until readiness is established. 2, Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Works should negotiate and publish a synchronized annual disbursement calendar with each development partner financing projects under Vote 016. This calendar should align Government of Uganda counterpart releases with donor disbursement triggers, ensuring that Government of Uganda's quarterly cash budgeting framework does not create artificial delays in accessing externally financed resources. Right Honourable Speaker, the standard gauge railway, financing gaps and implementation risks. The standard gauge railway from Malaba to Kampala is Uganda's single most capital-intensive infrastructure investment and a cornerstone of the NDP4 tenfold growth strategy. As a key component of the East African Cooperation Railway Master Plan and the Northern Corridor Integrated Projects, the 272-kilometer Malaba-Kampala section, Phase 1 of a planned 1,700-kilometer network will link Uganda's capital to the port of Mombasa, reducing logistics costs, decongesting highways, and enabling the oil and gas sector. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee notes with concern the following. The Islamic Development Bank commitment of 410 million euros covers only 15% of the 2.7 billion euros project cost, with over 2.2 billion euros unconfirmed, creating material risks to the November 2026 financial closure deadline. B, 491.9 billion, that is 60% in the project affected person compensation, remains unpaid, with 5,028 PAPs uncompensated, predominantly in the dense urban Buikwe, Mukono, Wakiso, Kampala corridor, directly threatening right-of-way, clearance, and lender conditionalities. C, only 47% of acquired land has been formally titled, exposing untitled parcels to legal encumbrance risks. D, there is no publicly disclosed revenue model or debt service schedule to demonstrate standard gauge railways' fiscal viability against its 2.7 billion euros debt obligation. And E, Uganda already lost 8 years from 2015 to 2023. Between 2015 and January 2023, the government of Uganda maintained a contractual arrangement with China Harbour Engineering Company for the construction of the Malaba-Kampala section. However, the contract was terminated in January 2023 after 8 consecutive years of failure to execute, during which financing negotiations with Chinese lenders stalled due to the connectivity concerns with Kenya's standard gauge railway. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends that government present to Parliament by end of Q1 financial year 26-27 a comprehensive standard gauge railway financing plan with confirmed lender commitments, co-financing structure for the remaining 2.2 billion, and a contingency strategy if November 2026 financial closure is not achieved. Fast-track release of the outstanding Uganda shillings for 491 billion, PAP compensation with priority ring fencing for the Buikwe, Mukono, Wakiso, Kampala corridor, and operationalize an independent grievance redress mechanism for contested valuations with clear timelines. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee also recommends that government directs the Uganda Land Commission to complete titling and transfer all 2001 acquired standard gauge railway access within 6 months. Also, government to table a dedicated debt sustainability analysis for the standard gauge railway before financial closure, incorporating revenue projections, freight tariff structures, and debt service schedules. Submit quarterly standard gauge railway progress reports to the Physical Infrastructure Committee from April 2026 until financial closure and full construction commencement, covering financing, land acquisition, limited notice to proceed works, local content compliance, and Uganda-Kenya coordination. Right Honourable Speaker, the government debtors to Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. The total trade debtors receivables, these funds related to unpaid for services, security, navigation services, and rent. The accumulation of long outstanding government debtors constrains Uganda Civil Aviation Authority's cash flow and exposes the authority to a heightened risk of revenue loss and impaired service delivery. The committee was informed that delayed payment of these debts has constrained the timely expansion, harmonization, and replacement of safety capital investments at Entebbe International Airport. I invite the members to look through the table of debtors as at 31st March 2026. In respect to that, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommends that the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority / Minister of Works liaise with Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to come up with a repayment schedule from the aforementioned MDAs where deductions can be carried out at source quarterly. Further, the affected MDAs are also urged to incorporate within their budget specified funds in order to enable them clear arrears accrued towards UCAA. The committee was informed that in regards to funds owed by the UN to the Uganda Civil Aviation, there is an MOU that states that the UN will operate at Entebbe International Airport at no cost and that UCAA will be compensated for the foregone income. The committee therefore recommends, Right Honourable Speaker, that the Ministry of Works liaises with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Office of the Prime Minister to have the matter resolved and report back to Parliament in the medium term. Right Honourable Speaker, the relocation of Nagrik from the airport. The committee was informed by the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority that it acquired 67.4 acres of land formerly owned by Mahiv Nagrik to facilitate expansion of Entebbe International Airport. In order to facilitate the acquisition, Uganda Civil Aviation Authority paid 2.4 billion on 20th August 2019 to Mahiv, which would enable them to relocate to land measuring 76.5 acres in Chanuma village, Busiro. Right Honourable Speaker, in respect to that, the committee noted that this issue was raised in the committee report of the financial year 25-26, urging Mahiv and Nagrik to relocate and pave way for the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority given that funds were received in lieu of the land by NAGRIC, but the status quo remains the same. The committee recommendations, Right Honourable Speaker. The committee recommends and urges the Ministers for Works and Transport and Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, in consultation with the Office of the Prime Minister, to come up with an amicable solution to the land under dispute and report back to Parliament in the medium term. Right Honourable Speaker, ferries and inland water transport safety. Ferry services in Uganda are primarily managed by Uganda National Roads Department in the Ministry of Works and Transport and private operators. They are critical infrastructure in connecting rural communities and bridging road networks across Lake Victoria, Choga, Albert, and the Nile. These services significantly reduce travel times for people and cargo by serving key areas like Kalangala, Buvuma, and the Buyende-Kaberamaido route. The committee noted that inland water transport has been neglected over time, with concerns about limited connectivity, ferry breakdowns, and makeshift boat use, persisting with up to 5,000 deaths occurring annually on Lake Victoria alone due to boat accidents. Right Honourable Speaker, in respect to that, the committee takes into cognizance the Ministry's efforts towards construction of the SAR centres, that is the Search and Rescue Centres, and recommends that SAR centres be evenly constructed across all major water bodies. And further, island communities should be regularly sensitized on safe water transport usage, given that host accidents are due to human error, like overloading, and most boats being in poor mechanical conditions. Further emphasis should be placed on regular vessel inspections in order to ensure compliance with set standards. Right Honourable Speaker, operationalization of the meter gauge project. The committee noted that the Uganda Railways, the URC, is in process of rehabilitating, upgrading the aging MGR network, including Malaba, Kampala, Toro, Gulu, and expand the commuter passenger services in the greater Kampala metropolitan area under their strategic plan financial year 25-26. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee noted that in financial year 2026-27, government has allocated Uganda shillings 161 billion to the URC towards full operationalization of Tororo Gulu line, including rehabilitation of 600 wagons, rehabilitation of locomotives, and wage support. The committee recommends that the URC prioritizes full operationalization of the Beta Gauge Railway, as this will go a long way in alleviating congestion of both cargo and passenger services on the already struggling road network. Right Honourable Speaker, Road Fund Management. The committee noted that while Road Fund Management Department, formerly the Uganda Road Fund, is mandated to finance routine and periodic maintenance of public roads in Uganda, it is grossly underfunded. The fund is supposed to raise monies independent of general government taxation regimes and disperse those funds to repair and maintain agencies based on agreed work plan. Right Honourable Speaker, the agencies that repair and maintain Uganda roads and therefore benefit from the monies accrued by the Road Fund Management include Kampala Capital City Authority and other designated agencies responsible for maintenance and repair of district, urban, and community access roads. The committee recommends and urges government to fully operationalize the road fund in order to enable it to operate with the resources drawn from the second generation fund as resolved by Parliament. 2, further, the committee recommends that road and drainage maintenance under Uganda Road Fund be allocated additional resources in order to enable it fully carry out its mandate. The committee also recommends that government comes up with a program specifically geared towards sensitizing the populace on proper garbage disposal and enforcement of attendant penalties. This may help curb the poor culture towards garbage disposal. Vote 122 KCCA. Right Honourable Speaker, the reduction in infrastructure budget allocation under Kampala Capital City Authority. The infrastructure budget for Kampala Capital City is on a downward trajectory at a time when the city's road network and drainage systems require expanded investment. The reduction in the KCCA's budget under the IT's program undermines KCCA's capacity to address the growing urban mobility and infrastructure maintenance challenges confronting the capital city. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee was informed that KCCA's total allocation under the Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services Program has decreased from 621.8 billion in the financial year 25-26 to Uganda shillings 529.7 billion in the financial year 2026-27. A reduction of Uganda shillings 92.1 billion, that is 14.8%. The committee notes that this reduction is principally driven by the removal of Uganda shillings 140 billion allocated for commencement of the Kampala City Roads and Bridges upgrading project, funded by the UK Export Finance in the second budget called Circular. In respect to that, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends that reinstatement of the Uganda shillings 140 billion allocated for the KCRBUP in financial year 2026-27 to enable timely project commencement, given that the UK Export Finance Facility is already secured, and further delay risk lapsing of the credit arrangement. Right Honourable Speaker, critically low absorption of external financing under KCCA's infrastructure budget. External financing constitutes the single largest component of KCCA's infrastructure budget, and its effective absorption is the primary determinant of whether the capital city's strategic road rehabilitation and urban development programs deliver tangible results. Right Honourable Speaker, the half-year performance data reveals a deeply concerning pattern of under-absorption that, if sustained, renders the expanded external financing envelope largely illusionary. The committee was informed that as at the end of quarter 2, financial year 25-26, the overall absorption rate under KCCA stood at only 46.1%, with Uganda shillings 138.7 billion spent out of the Uganda shillings 300.4 billion released. External financed projects recorded particularly weak performance. The KCRRP spent only 65.4 billion of Uganda shillings 199.0 billion, while the Greater Kampala Metropolitan spent only Uganda shillings 7.3 billion of the Uganda shillings 32.5 billion released. The committee notes that although KCCA reports improved performance by March 26, with overall vote absorption rising to 73.5%, external financing improving from 32.86 to 56.5%. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee in respect to that recommends and urges government to ensure that all prerequisite activities, including utility relocations, right-of-way acquisition and donor approval processes, are completed before the start of financial year 26-27, so that construction can proceed unimpeded from quarter 1. 2, the committee recommends and urges government to engage development partners, the African Development Bank and the World Bank, proactively to streamline the no-objection approval processes and reduce approval turnaround times. Right Honourable Speaker, the persistent implementation delays under the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project, the KCRRP, valued at US dollars 288 million, that's about 1.0 trillion, and funded by the African Development Bank, the Global Environmental Fund, and the government of Uganda, is the single largest infrastructure investment in Kampala's road network. Its timely completion is critical, Right Honourable Speaker, enhancing transport efficiency and expanding the stock of paved roads in the capital city. However, the project has experienced significant implementation delays across multiple lots. I would invite the honourable colleagues to go through Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 3, Lot 4, and Lot 5. The committee therefore observes, Right Honourable Speaker, that the KCRRP commenced in financial year 2021-22 and has been under implementation for over 4 years. Yet overall progress remains below 2/3. Lots 2, 3, and 4, which together accounts for 61.6 kilometers, that is 66% of the total KCRRP scope, are all significantly behind schedule. Of particular concern is the 0 kilometer of paved road has been delivered under Lot 2, despite over 50% physical progress. suggesting that completed works are concentrated in sub-base and drainage activities with no finished road surface yet handed over. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends and urges government to, 1, direct KCCA to present a revised lot-by-lot completion schedule with realistic milestones, including monthly paved kilometre targets to the committee by the end of Q1 financial year 26-27. Also to ensure that the financial year 26-27 KCRRP allocation of Uganda shillings 122.3 billion is released in full and on time to prevent further construction stoppages. And investigate and report to the committee on the specific factors causing delayed progress on Kasubi, Northern Bypass Road, Queensway, and Zambia Road, Hanlon Road junction with remedial action timelines. Right Honourable Speaker, the slow progress under the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Urban Development Program. The Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Under Development Program, valued at $606 million and funded by the World Bank and the French Development Agency under a program for results financing modality, is the most significant urban development intervention in Kampala. Right Honourable Speaker, in the interest of time, the committee recommends and urges government to, 1, direct KCCA to present a revised realistic completion schedule for the 5 GKMA UDP road lots with interim milestones and clear accountability mechanisms for each contractor. And also to expedite right-of-way acquisition, particularly for Katalemwa Road and Muganzilwaza Road, through accelerated stakeholder engagement and, where necessary, formal land acquisition process, and ensure that the financial year 26-27 GKMA UDP allocation of Uganda shillings 196.9 billion is fully utilized, and that KCCA meets the minimum conditions and performance benchmarks required to access metropolitan development grants under the Program for Results Framework. 14, Right Honourable Speaker, the chronic underfunding of road and drainage maintenance under the KCCA. Under that, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommended and urged government to, 1, increase the Uganda Road Fund allocation to KCCA to a minimum of Uganda shillings 55 billion in financial year 26-27, in line with the stated maintenance requirements, and index future allocations to the road network length and conditions data. 2, ring-fence the road fund allocation strictly for maintenance activities and ensure that it's released in Q1 to allow timely procurement of materials and commencement of maintenance works. And lastly, the committee in that respect recommended that KCCA provide a comprehensive road condition survey of all 2,104 kilometers of the Kampala road network with a costed multi-year maintenance plan to Parliament December 2026. Right Honourable Speaker, the critical drainage infrastructure deficit and flood risk. Under this, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommended and urged government to appropriate a dedicated drainage improvement allocation of at least 50 billion in the financial year 26-27 for immediate construction of the already designed 18.9 kilometer of community drainage channels and the most critical box culverts. To fast-track the completion of the Lubiji drainage channel, 980 meter remaining, as a priority flood mitigation intervention, and develop and present to Parliament a comprehensive Kampala drainage master plan with a costed 5-year phased investment program by December 2026. Right Honourable Speaker, the non-release of areas and budget under the KCCA. In that respect, the committee recommends and urges government to, 1, appropriate and release a minimum of Uganda shillings 39.5 billion for areas clearance in financial year 26-27, and cease the practice of budgeting for areas without any intention of release, as this distorts the fiscal position. Right Honourable Speaker, grossly inadequate street lighting and infrastructure. In this respect, the committee recommends and urges government to increase the street lighting allocation progressively, targeting full coverage of all arterial and collector roads within 3 financial years. and then enforce penalties for vandalism of public infrastructure, including street lights, to deter destruction of government property, and explore solar-powered and vandal-resistant lighting technologies to reduce both operational costs and the impact of vandalism. Right Honourable Speaker, vote 609, road maintenance grant, operationalization challenges under the local government. Right Honourable Speaker, currently government allocates a uniform road maintenance grant of 1 billion to each of the 176 local governments. That is 135 districts, 10 cities, and 31 municipal councils, amounting to 176 billion in financial year 24-25 to support maintenance of the Duka road network. However, audit and field evidence shows that the design and operationalization of this grant have not translated in timely, efficient, and quality road maintenance at local level. In respect to that, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommends the following. Minister of Works and Finance should revise the road maintenance development grant guidelines to make preparation and annual updating of road inventories and condition surveys as precondition for work plan and funding approval, with targeted technical support to the 5 local governments with no inventories and the 22 with incomplete databases. Ministry of Finance should strengthen performance-based aspects of the grant by linking allocations to agreed indicators, timely completion rates, percentage of network in fair or good condition, quality audit scores, while maintaining a minimum flow to avoid penalizing the poorest local governments. And the government should also enforce strict timelines for procurement and implementation of works financed by the grant, with non-performing local governments subjected to corrective action plans and closer technical supervision. Right Honourable Speaker, inadequate road equipment in local government. According to the most recent auditor OAG report, a review of road equipment in 148 sampled local governments revealed severe deficits in the availability and functionality of road machinery required to execute maintenance works and financed through the grant. 19 local governments had no road equipment units at all. 137 had inadequate equipment such as the motor graders, excavators, and bulldozers. And 119 local governments had non-functional machinery. As a result, most local governments experienced significant delays in implementing maintenance works and in many ways were compelled to resort to expensive hiring of private equipment. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommends the following. The Ministry of Works, in collaboration with Finance, should fast-track the procurement and delivery of complete road equipment units, the motor grader, the wheel loader, the vibro roller, water bowsers, and 2 dump trucks to all local governments that lack them, prioritizing the 19 local governments with no equipment and the 14 new districts with incomplete units, with a full package funded and delivered within a clearly defined timeline. Right Honourable Speaker, government should increase mechanical imprest allocations to local governments to enable regular servicing, preventive maintenance, and timely minor repairs of road equipment, reducing downtime and extending asset life. The Minister of Works should review and amend the current policy on centralized repairs during the warranty period of authorizing local governments to undertake minor and routine repairs through certified local workshops under clear guidelines and accountability arrangements. The Ministry of Works should implement a structured capacity building program to train at least 3 mechanical technicians and 2 plant operators per local government, alongside equipping selected regional mechanical workshops to serve cluster of local governments. The Ministry of Works and Transport, the Inspectorate of Government, and the Uganda Police Force should institute strict monitoring and accountability mechanisms for road equipment, including mandatory GPS tracking on all machinery, annual physical verification and condition audits, and deterrent sanctions, including recovery of funds and disciplinary actions for illegal hiring out or misuse. Right Honourable Speaker, the uniform allocation of road maintenance grant. Under the current arrangement, Right Honourable Speaker, every local government receives a flat road maintenance of its Duka network or its institutional performance. This one-size-fits-all approach does not reflect the wide disparities in network size, terrain, urbanization, and maintenance needs among districts, cities, and municipalities. Larger and more urbanized local governments with extensive and heavily trafficked networks face acute funding shortfalls, which contribute to rapid deterioration and accumulation of maintenance backlogs, while smaller local governments with shorter networks may receive allocations that exceed their needs-based formula. Right Honorable Speaker, in respect to that, the committee recommends the following. Government should replace the uniform Uganda shillings 1 billion allocations with a transparent, formula-based road maintenance development grant that incorporates at least the following parameters: length of the Duka network, network condition, share, poor, stroke, fair, or good, road hierarchy and traffic volumes, terrain and climatic factors, and historical absorption stroke performance. A minimum base of Uganda shillings allocation should be maintained for all local governments to ensure basic functionality. But incremental resources above this floor should be distributed based on objective needs and performance indicators, ensuring that not all local governments receive the same amount. Ministry of Works should ensure that complete and regularly updated road inventories and condition surveys form the backbone of the allocation formula, and that local governments which fail to submit credible data within agreed timelines receive only the base allocation until compliance is achieved. The Ministry of Finance should consider gradually increasing the overall envelope for the road maintenance development grant while applying the new formula, so that better performing and higher needs local governments receive proportionately more resources. The revised criteria and formula should be approved by Cabinet and communicated publicly, and the Minister of Works should publish the annual allocation tables and performance reports to strengthen transparency, parliamentary oversight, and local accountability. In conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable members, the committee adequately considered the ministerial policy statement of the Integrated Transport Infrastructure Services Program and recommends that the report of the Committee of Physical Infrastructure on the budget estimates for the financial year 26-27 be adopted. I beg to submit, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. What are the allocations that have been given to you? The total allocations?
Right Honourable Speaker, the total allocation to the Ministry of Works and Transport for the financial year 26-27 is 8,074.8 billion.
8 trillion.
It is 8 trillion. It is 8 trillion.
You know why I'm asking how much has been allocated? Because even after that allocation, we don't find the roads being worked on. What did you say about Kampala Jinja Express Highway? As you look for that, we need to synchronize the issue of the regional mechanical workshops. You find a district like Bundibujo, the regional workshop is in Fort Portal, that far, very, very far. Mbarara, it is in Mbarara, not even Fort Portal, it is in Mbarara. You find all the way from Soroti, it is in Bugembe. We are wondering what happened to the because UNRA used to be very, very organized. They had regional offices. What happened to those offices? And what happened to the equipment that UNRA had? Where are the labs, the regional labs? Before we start talking about the roads and whatever, how do we test the materials? Where are those labs? Where are the regional mechanical workshops? And then what happened to the UNRA roads? Honorable Chair, you may need to enlighten us on that, because we are giving you a lot of money. Now, the fact that you have a lot of money, tell us which roads you will have to give us when we are doing appropriation. At which roads are we working on? I told you the road of Muhoozi. You cannot even think of passing there. The road from Lira, Otuke, Abim, up to Karenga. Very, very bad road. You look at Kachonga, Butaleja, Tororo, Namutumba, terrible. Look at where Honorable Joan comes from, Madiokolo, that road of Madiokolo connecting to Arua. I can tell you all the roads now. Let's look at the critical roads. Let's make sure that we use the money effectively. With all this money that is being given, we must achieve what we need to achieve. You find the roads in Kampala here, like my road, somebody is working on a Macedon road there. I have failed even to pass there for a whole 2 weeks. Nothing is moving. But I was even wondering, why did they remove my little collars which was there? They should have left it the way it was. So, Chairman, there's a big problem in your sector. A very, very big problem.
Right, Honorable Speaker, in respect to the regional mechanical workshops, we had an extensive discussion on the subject matter with the Minister of Works, that currently the regional mechanical workshops does not offer efficient services to the rest of the regions. For example, we find that Karamoja sub-region would expect to travel all the way to Gulu mechanical workshop. West Nile will have to travel all the way to Gulu. And then Oima, Fort Portal will have to travel all the way to Mbarara. So we did recommend the creation of sub-regional mechanical workshops, born out of the stations that were formerly manned by UNRWA.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because what I've seen with the UNRWA, they have only changed the logo, and yet those people used to have very good workshops. UNRWA had a very good workshop. What about where districts like in Tongamo, Isingiro, or Kasese that are too big, or Yam, in terms of equipment? The President promised that they would give them additional equipment and additional 1 billion shillings for road maintenance.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the discrepancies in the allocation of the road equipments indeed was observed by the committee. Like you rightly noted, Rwenzori sub-region comes with attendant challenges of climate change issues, the terrain. We did bring it to the attention
Chairman,
of the
you have not understood what I'm saying. During the campaign, the President said districts that are too big, a district like Isingiro, a district like Kasese, a district like Oyam, a district like Yumbe, a district like there are about 6 districts. He said they were going to give them additional equipment. That is number 1. 2, he also said they were going to give them additional 1 billion shillings for road maintenance. And when we had a meeting, a top political meeting on the budget, the president even emphasized to PSST that this money must be provided. The equipment can be on a first manner, but the money for road maintenance should start from this financial year.
Right Honorable Speaker, we did ably mirror your concerns to the Minister and his team.
Can you go and make a follow-up with the PSST on that and report back to me?
Much obliged.
Because I was in that meeting.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
And those districts might get their money. Yes. Oyam.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are discussing a very critical area in this country. And to my dismay, a lot of money has been given, but looking at the work on the ground, it's really missing. And I'm so surprised that we don't even have a single minister here to answer some of these queries that you are putting forward and the members are about to put forward. Right Honorable Speaker, are we moving on well to come and discuss such an important matter when the ministers are not here, not even a single one? Right Honorable Speaker.
You're talking about a single minister. What about that, Honorable Kafusi? Honorable...
Madam Speaker, from the sector, I'm meaning the sector of road infrastructure and the like.
Honorable members, we are not going to fail to work because people have failed to come. Honorable Kafusi is holding vote and is taking note of everything. And we are going to make, Honorable Kafusi, as Parliament of Uganda, we are going to make a follow-up on this vote. We are not going to give the Minister of Works all this money and the roads are not worked on. How can you have such roads in the country? For heaven's sake. At the end of the day, they say government is not working, and yet we are the ones who are failing. Yes. Joanne.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank the committee for the report. I have 2 issues. I would like to agree with them that the new districts that received only partial equipment be equipped with the equipment,
the balance.
The balance of the equipment. That's very important. I would like to thank the government for the 1 billion. You said there are some districts that are very large, and His Excellency had promised that they would receive an extra 1 billion. I hope that this is large in land size and not necessarily large in numbers, because when you look at a district like Madiokolo, to reach some sub-counties, Madiokolo is a land of many waters, and therefore there's a need for many bridges. To reach one of our sub-counties, you have to go through 4 other districts, a sub-county called Ewanga. There's been a bridge called Kia Bridge that was planned in 2021. It was in the NDP 3. The design was made, but somehow they stopped at the design. Now I'm hearing about bridges which are being designed, which are set to be constructed. Designs are being planned. What about the design of Kia Bridge, which is already in place, but the bridge is not being put on the plan? So I would like to ask that the Ministry of Works considers that bridge in the plan.
Honorable, when you talk about the large districts, I want somebody from Isingiro, from Untungamo, to justify the size of Honorable.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. On that issue of big districts, when you look at Ntungamo, Isinjiro, and Kasese, we consider both the size of the district and the population, which brings the economic activities, of course, increasing because people are many. When you look at Ntungamo and Isinjiro, Kasese, and other districts whose population is high, you find that when you work on the road, within just 3 months, you need to go back. And then the terrain in Isinjiro, Kasese, and Ntungamo, the districts are hidden. So you find that even bridges, working on a bridge is very expensive. So we've been finding it very difficult to manage our constituencies because we manage them as sub-districts. The money we get from here in allowances, we use it to work on our roads. And we even hire private graders from Mumbai. We have people who have private graders. One time I worked on 40 kilometers. Another time I worked on 60-something kilometers. Because my constituency alone has more than 100 kilometers of district roads. So that is the challenge. And I thank you, Madam Speaker, for encouraging us to make sure that we give those districts extra money first, and then equipment can come later because we borrow from nearby.
Honorable members, actually
so
a constituency in Ntungamo is a size of my district, Bukedea. You understand? Why would Bukeria be given 1 billion shillings and then a district like in Ntungamo is also given 1 billion shillings? We should be looking at the size, the population. Yes, Ntungamo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I represent Rahama East.
Nothing personal, but I am looking at what is on ground. We are here to represent people. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I represent Rahama East constituency, which is part of the 5 constituencies which we have in Ntungamo district. Right Honorable Speaker, what you are saying is right. My constituency of Rahama East is the size of Tambara district. The Tambara district receives 1 billion, and Ntungamo district, which has 5 constituencies, 5 times Tambara, receives 1 billion too. We have been complaining over this issue. And I remember in March last year, we met the president. The president even called the Minister of Finance over that issue to provide more money to the bigger districts. I was in that meeting in Ntungamo. Even put him on loud. We were all listening. I don't know why the Minister of Finance is not providing this money. And we have suffered. Some of us lost elections because of that issue, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for following up on this matter.
Kalaki has a road, Kabaramaid has a road that is impassable.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would have loved to hear the chair talk about Katine-Ochero Road, which this house passed. Cabinet passed. Yes, Madam.
You should first talk about at least having a single tarmac in your district, because you don't even have a single. I think out of all the districts, you don't have a single tarmac.
Madam Speaker, you are spot on, and so I would have expected this particular road, Katine-Ochero, has been riddled by corruption, because last year twice. That road was supposed to be awarded a contractor, and they said there was a whistleblower that came up, that was investigated. We never saw the report. Around December last year, same thing happened. Around March this year, same thing has happened. So I would have loved to hear what is that report, what are the dates for the contractor to be given the road. So, Madam Speaker, you are right on. Secondly, on the issue of ferries, we informed the process in the beginning that Kaberimaido has the largest number of people who would use that ferry to come to Busoga. and to come into Kampala. And so the information available then suggested that the place where the workers should be staying would be in Kampala, a place called Kampala, where the ferry docks in Kaberemaido. But up to now, there is no housing there. Instead, the housing was placed in Buyende, where the ferry starts off from. Recently, the minister acknowledged and accepted that they would transfer, that they would construct new buildings on that side. I would have expected to see that in the budget for next year. As I speak, the minister has started to rent houses for workers to stay on the side of Kaberemaido, which is a better step, but it would be important would have loved to see in the budget figures showing that construction will take place on the other side in to enhance the usage of the ferry. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, I also want you to remember that there are loans that we approved as a house. The loans were approved for construction of particular roads. To date, the roads have not been constructed. They've not even started the works, and yet we are paying interest in those loans. Honourable Minister, how do we handle that? On the issue of the loans that we approved, the designs are not available, the works have not started, and yet we are paying interest on these loans.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I have listened attentively to the concerns of my colleagues. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I have listened attentively to the concerns of my colleagues. I would like time to consult and give a befitting answer, especially in reference to particular roads, okay? So that I can give a status report and tell you on this.
Yesterday I passed this road from Nakaseke to Ngoma. That road, I think, was given to, I don't know to which construction company, but the works are not moving. Go to Kampala Fort Portal Road, the works are not moving. To Hoima Road, nothing is moving. What could be happening? No, the releases were done. The releases were done.
Madam Speaker, I know that some money was paid out, some of the contractors. It may not have been fully paid, but some money was given to them, especially, I know, the Mitiana Road.
To Fort
Portal, yes. But I need to find out, get a proper status report, and make a report to Parliament.
Honourable members, I have a suggestion that we refer this report to the committee, but in the next sitting, we need to open up the debate with the Minister of Works. We need to open up, Attorney General, we want a debate on issue of roads with the finance and works on Tuesday. You lay it on table.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg also to lay our observations as opposition within this very report so that it can also be incorporated. And I pray that as they sit in that meeting, the issue of new districts not having Tamaka roads, with the new districts, however small we are. In Ikalungu, Madam Speaker, we only have a Tamaka road going to the sister's place and one church, and it was constructed by different people. No single Tamaka in Ikalungu district. And Kasanda. So, you have not talked about that, but let me table this. You will see. Thank you very much.
It is unusual to discuss a report after it has gone to the budget committee, but these are matters that are very important. We must, even after this harmonization, we must have a debate on the issue of the roads, so that we are able to see who is the problem. Yes.
Madam Speaker, we had the Minister of Finance, of Works, the Honorable General Katumba Wamala here. He made a presentation listing all the roads that needed to be done. And if I recall, the money that we owed to contractors was more than 5 trillion. The report of the committee says only 2 point something has been put in the budget. But what we owed to contractors, and that's why they had abandoned the sites, was more than 5 trillion. So the procedural issue I am raising, Madam Speaker, is for you to guide whether part of the problem doesn't start in this parliament. Because Tamaka Road cannot just be given. There must be justification and a return on investment. If you read the reports of IMF and World Bank, the return on public investment in Uganda is 0.08. The world average is 6%. Because you can't come and throw a road at each and everybody, including those who are going to use it for grazing. 80% of the vehicles in Uganda are in Kampala metropolitan.
You mean grazing is not an activity?
I am on procedure for you to rule.
There is an order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Is it in order for Honorable Semuju, who knows very well that he's not the only one bringing economic activity in this Kampala? As from the village, we also bring economic activity here, to stand here and say that we are from the village and we don't deserve to have tarmac roads. Is it in order?
Honorable members, there is no place that does not bring economic activity. There is no district that is not important. And that's why you have all these representatives here. We will not start belittling other districts. Like my district, I don't have tarmac, but I have economic activity there. I have all the investments in that district. But you cannot say that places without return on investment should not bring. What return on investment are you looking at? We are saying, as government should provide us with the roads, whether it is a tarmac or not tarmac, but good roads. People are dying of accidents because of these roads. You cannot say that you only need roads in Kampala, in Kira, because you have economic activity. So what? You mean for us in the villages we should not have? Napak should not have? Pursuant to Rule 156.2 of the Rules of Procedure, I refer this report to the Committee of Budget for Harmonization, Reconciliation, and Consolidation. But we are going to have a debate on infrastructure and have it on the order paper of Tuesday. Thank you. Next.
The Sectoral Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs.
Honourable members, I want to request you that you look at the overall observations, recommendations, and budget allocation. Please, Chair.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I stand here to present the report of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee for the Ministerial Policy Statements under its scrutiny. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay on table the minutes and the duly signed report for the committee. I beg to lay.
Please lay. Thank you.
Honourable colleagues, Right Honourable Speaker, the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, in accordance with Article 155 of the Constitution and other antecedent laws, is mandated, among others, to examine the following ministerial policy statements and votes. The committee considered the ministerial statements for Vote 007, Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Vote 133, Directorate of Public Prosecutions, Vote 102, Electoral Commission, Vote 105, Uganda Law Reform Commission, Vote 104, Parliamentary Commission, Vote 101, the Judiciary, Vote 148, Judicial Service Commission, Vote 109, Law Development Center, Vote 106, Uganda Human Rights Commission, Vote 103, Inspectorate of Government, and Vote 119, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and also the Shadow Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, who made a report. In the interest of time, Right Honourable Speaker, the report is up. Yeah, this is Vote 109. In the interest of time, Right Honourable Speaker, the report is uploaded. I'll just go straight to the recommendations and observations of the committee, which, for those who have had the access to the report, is on page 28. The committee made the following observations and recommendations under Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee was informed that the phase 1 of the construction of police headquarters and the parking deck of the Just Law and Order Sector House has reached practical completion and partial occupation commenced in March 2026. The ongoing and outstanding certified work under phase 1, ongoing work under phase 2, and completion of the parking deck cannot be funded within the 16.63 billion which was provided, against the 50 billion which was required. To ensure timely completion of the entire project, the ministry requires additional budget allocation of 34 billion in financial year 2026-2027. The committee recommends that additional 34 billion be provided for this financial year to enable the ministry to complete construction of the JLO's house. Honourable colleagues, as you have noticed, many of the offices have already shifted to Nakuru, where it's located. Under the motor vehicles, the committee was informed that the ministry currently has a fleet of 86 vehicles, of which 68 are over 5 years and 37 have been in usage for over 10 years. Relatedly, the Auditor General has already raised a query over the use of old vehicles that should have been disposed of. The ministry needs transport equipment of at least 48 motor vehicles over the next 2 financial years to support its operations of regional offices, court attendance, supporting the functions of administration of estates of the deceased persons, inspection of law chambers as its mandate. The committee recommends that an additional 7.2 billion be provided to the development budget of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs for the coming financial year to procure 24 vehicles to improve dispensation of justice and access to justice in various areas. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee noted that state attorneys in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs and the Directorate of Public Prosecutions do related work, but those from Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs are taxed, while those in DPP are not. We note that to remove this discrimination, there is need for tax waiver for state attorneys in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs as well. So the committee makes this recommendation strongly. construction and facilitation of regional offices. The committee was informed that the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs continues to face challenges in delivering effective services due to inadequate infrastructure and limited tools and equipment, with only 7 regional offices serving an average of 25 districts each. Workloads and case backlogs remain high, and access to justice, especially for vulnerable groups such as orphans and widows, is constrained by long travel distances of up to some even 400 kilometers. Effective financial year 2025-2026, the ministry established 5 more regional offices in Iganga, Masaka, Hoima, Kabale, and Lira. These offices are currently in rented premises. There is need to construct a permanent regional office over the 5 years period, and this would require at least 8 billion shillings. The committee recommends that 8 billion be considered for the phased construction of these offices over a period of 5 years to enable the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs execute its mandate across the entire country. Right Honourable Speaker, construction of offices for the African Humanitarian Agency. In 2024, the government of Uganda bidded and won to host the Secretariat for African Humanitarian Agency, but the condition was that the hosting country constructs offices and residences in 2 years. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development signed the commitment on behalf of government. This included providing office and residential accommodation as the construction takes place. This altogether required 360 billion over a period of 2 years. However, the ministry requires 200 billion for the first year to commence this construction of the African Humanitarian Agency offices. Presently, no funding has been allocated. So the committee observes that the failure to provide these funds for the construction of the headquarters means that the country loses the opportunity to host this very strategic agency. We therefore recommend that 200 billion be provided in this financial year 2026-2027 to enable the ministry to start construction of the office project to fulfill the commitment made by our government. Under vote 101, which is judiciary, the committee noted a need to fund the timely disposal of cases, both civil and criminal, facilitation of court sessions, daily hearings, and daily court operations in the 269 operational courts, management of election petitions, facilitation of court-summoned witnesses who at least to not less than 60,000 in total, conduct of locus visits at various court levels to facilitate a minimum of at least 55,112 visits, and facilitation for court assessors, at least 3 per judge. To achieve timely disposal of cases, judiciary requires an additional 48.57 billion, and the committee makes a recommendation that these funds be available to enable the mandate be achieved. Right Honourable Speaker, we still grapple with case backlog in this country. The judiciary plans to increase the case disposal rate from 58% financial year 2024-25 to 60.6% financial year 2026-2027. This will reduce the backlog from 24.2% to 22.2% and dispose of 291,544 cases by the end of 2026. Hence, the need for an additional 20.12 billion in case backlog reduction strategies such as special court sessions. The committee, however, noted that a significant number of cases committed to the High Court remained unheard for years, alongside infrequent court appearances and extended intervals between hearings. Additionally, the committee is concerned that the plan towards the reduction of backlog, as projected by judiciary, is not satisfactory because of the minimal percentage. The committee has recommended that the funding requested by the judiciary to tackle the issue of case backlog be deferred temporarily until a comprehensive plan is provided. Implementation of the legal representation at the expense of the state in capital offences in line with the judicial legal representation at the expense of state. The committee noted that Article 28(3) of the Constitution requires that every person who is charged with a criminal offense that carries a sentence of death or imprisonment for life is entitled to legal representation at the expense of the state. Similarly, the Judicature Legal Representation at the expense of the State Rules 2022 has revised the rates upwards for facilitation of advocates on state brief. To be able to fulfill this mandate, the judiciary requires an additional 31.97 billion. The committee recommends that 31.97 billion be provided to the judiciary to facilitate advocates to hold these cases on state brief. Automation of courts to eliminate delays in the management of cases. The committee was informed that the judiciary plans to roll out electronic case management system (ECMIS) to additional 20 court stations, which include, among others, Masaka High Court, Masaka Chief Magistrates Court, Kalangala Chief Magistrates Court, Sembabule Chief Magistrates Court, Kalungu Lukaya Grade 1 Court, Mpiji High Court, Mpiji Chief Magistrates Court, Gomba Chief Magistrates Court, Butambala Chief Magistrates Court, and Insanji Chief Magistrates Court, Masindi High Court, Masindi Chief Magistrates Court, Chiriandongo Chief Magistrates Court, Bulisa Chief Magistrates Court, and Chigumba Chief Magistrates Court, Mubende High Court, Mubende Chief Magistrates Court, Mitiana Chief Magistrates Court, Kasanda Chief Magistrates Court, Shegegwa Chief Magistrates Court. Right now, I'm reading all of them to show the balanced nature throughout the country. The committee recommends that 13.739 billion be provided during the financial year 2026-27 to enable judiciary automate case management business processes to quicken adjudication and also reduce person-to-person interactions, hence mitigating corruption incidents. Budget increase and misalignment. The judiciary's proposed budget for financial year 2026-2027 stands at 633.97 billion, representing a 43.7% increase from the financial year 2025-2026 approved budget of 44.223 billion. The committee noted a 103.5% increase in the travel budget of the judiciary from 43.79 billion to 89.154 billion, with the MPS showing extensive travel inland provisions totaling 77.0 billion and travel abroad to 12.2 billion, representing a 14.1% of its total proposed budget. Notwithstanding this increment in the judiciary budget, the case backlog continues to increase and with the key activities underfunded within the budget. The committee notes that the increased travel budget be retained only to the extent that it directly supports judicial work, especially locus in core visits, estimated at 20.95 billion, out of station court sessions, and pre-bargaining proceedings that facilitate case disposal. The committee observes with concern that pre-trial and trial detention remains a systematic challenge within the judicial system, as evidenced a high portion of inmates on remand, which is 48.4%. This situation points to persistent case backlog, yet this matter is not addressed within the budget provisions. In addition, the committee observes that whereas the judiciary budget has been growing over the years, the same key mandate areas like timely disposal of cases have not attracted substantial funding, hence causing backlog. Therefore, the committee recommends that the judiciary budget be realigned and Uganda shillings 10 billion be removed from the proposed travel budget of judiciary, reducing it to 89.154 billion to 79.154, and the monies be reallocated for case backlog reduction and a progress report be shared forthwith. Under Vote 102, Electoral Commission. Following the presidential directive, the Commission has since January 2023 temporarily relocated its headquarters to the National Housing and Construction Company Limited premises at Plot 1 to 3/5 7th Street Industrial Area on rental basis. The construction of the headquarters at Lubowa, Wachiso, is supposed to be implemented by National Housing and Construction Corporation, which will provide land, design, construct, and furnish the Electoral Commission Center at Lubowa. within a period of 18 months. The project is crucial for enhancing the operational efficiency, institutional capacity, cost saving in the long term, and electoral preparedness for the upcoming electoral activities. And failure to provide the 62 billion required in this financial risk stalling the project, undermining the Commission's preparedness for the upcoming critical